Trump administration's national security strategy has leaked. This document guides the entire U.S. military and how it protects the country. But protects it from what exactly? Well, it's pretty shocking if you see what I'm talking about. I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Slap that subscribe. Let's talk about it. Okay, so Pentagon defense strategy has leaked to Politico, right? This recently, though, it's the final draft. It was on the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth's desk last week, but the actual document itself contains some really strange reimagining of what it means to be the leader of the free world. Because, well, we've decided that the military is better used to be deployed here in the United States. That's right. See, the national defense strategy that has been consistent through Democratic and Republican administrations over the last 15 years, including President Trump's own first term, identified China as America's greatest rival, followed in most cases by Russia, and then other sort of state sponsor of terrorism type folks like Iran, and of course rogue nations like North Korea, who again are sort of like seen as China proxies. So this new strategy, though, no kidding, places domestic and regional missions above countering Beijing and Moscow. So essentially telling the U.S. military that when you look at how to train your troops or how to purchase new equipment, you should first ask yourself, how can we use this on Americans? Yeah, for realsies. They're like, well, the military's primary job is going to be border security. But again, the takeaway from this is look at what domestic missions mean to this administration, right? As you can see, they've deployed the military to the southern border, giving him large authority to arrest anyone they find. They've also, of course, Trump has said he wants to deploy the U.S. military to cities like Chicago. He has deployed it to Washington, D.C. and L.A. So this should tell you that, again, when people say, hey, is Trump in the pocket of China and Moscow? The answer seems to be yes. And the other insane part of this is that the national defense strategy was reportedly written by Elbridge Colby, the Pentagon's policy chief, right? And of course, the national defense strategy is a policy document. And Elbridge Colby claimed and has claimed for years that he is a China hawk. He says, listen, the U.S., and it's not a dumb take, right? His take, at least before this administration, was saying, listen, China is such a large emerging global threat that the U.S. needs to prioritize countering Chinese influence and may not be able to become the world police everywhere all of the time, which is actually a very, very reasonable stance. Now, up until, again, like 4 months ago, this meant that Colby was an advocate for saying, listen, what's sometimes called great power politics, looking and saying, where can the U.S. military contain Chinese influence? And that might mean that our allies in Europe and in other regional areas might need to lead the fight against like terrorists and insurgents like the ISIS of the world or Islamists in Niger, right? That sort of mission can't dominate, or God forbid, even Iran is striking Israel with drones, that maybe our air defenses would be better spent somewhere else. And that's, again, like a real policy position. But the fact that this guy either was instructed to or sort of dropped the mask and said, actually, guys, maybe we should have we considered just letting China win? Maybe we should just let China own our allies in the Pacific. Maybe just like we should let Russia dominate Eastern Europe. Maybe we don't need to have all these pesky friends, right? And this is, of course, preposterous, given that, again, even if you pretend like you're going to just yield to China and yield to Russia, that's not going to magically make them your friend. Instead, what it's going to do is validate Russia and China's aggression. And make no mistake, Russia and China engage in aggression against the United States. Like, don't kid yourselves. You don't need to do much more than Google Russian hackers and see just how widespread Russian efforts to hack and leak and obtain classified U.S. information is, to steal and blackmail U.S. institutions. Of course, you can also Google the bipartisan Senate report on Russian interference in the 2016 election. And the reason you should treat that as credible is because it was authored by current Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So it's not some Democratic hoax to say that Russia systematically and in sweeping fashion attempted to interfere in U.S. politics, right? So the fact that despite all of these actions by Russia and China that are hostile to the United States, right? Notably, China also major provider and purveyor of fentanyl components, something that they've never stopped doing. Despite promising and pinky promising every administration that they were going to do something about it. Despite all these hostile actions, the administration still says, well, maybe we should just focus on beating up protesters. I'm like, is this it? Is this what our $1 trillion military is going to be doing? Right? While our allies just get either cooked or worse, go, listen, maybe we should just figure out a way to give China what they want so they leave us alone. And we're seeing these actions already kind of take place, right? Allies are basically, it says allies are worried. Allies are in full fucking panic mode, okay? The Pentagon is already nuked their Baltic Security Initiative, hundreds of millions of dollars a year for Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia to help build up their military to, counter, I don't know, Russia. And of course, you also have a lot of other allies, like, for example, South Korea, who Trump has said he may not defend in the event of incursion by the North. Right now, Trump, again, has said different things at different times. But this is the problem, is that Trump says a lot of things, but what do his actions say? And his actions say, good luck, U.S. allies. You guys are going to be on your own.